boys? It's Golf Wars. I'm here with the boy, Third Schlong, and the other boy, Mitchell Snyder. Snyder 210. Like that hat, Mitch. How we doing today out in Nebraska?
It's not too bad. It's nice out here. Only about 90, 95 degrees today, so not too bad. Yeah, it was last week was pretty crazy. I had some really good teams until all my guys decided to withdraw and such. The Hovland withdrawal was hurtful.
Yeah, that was great, dude. I can't believe Hovland withdrew and fucking Eric Cole. Bryce, how we doing? I obviously want to, jump off a cliff after Russell Henley cost me $300,000 on the 18th green last week, but we're back, so got to jump right back in.
Lord and I were watching that at my house, hungover as shit after our golf tournament, and that was brutal. I wouldn't wish that on anyone. And it sucks too, because I had a really good Henley hole out earlier this year when he won. I think, God, I forget what tournament that was. I think it was over Morikawa. They were like the top two, and I needed Henley. I think it was round 4 showdown for 100, and I needed basically him to hole out and win, and he did. So I was like, he must have that out of the way. It's not going to happen again. And of course, it happens again. Shot a 69 at Firethorn. Snyder wishes he could shoot 69 anywhere. I've never broken 80. I've hit 80 so many times, and I just choked the last couple holes. So once I get over that hump, we'll be right there. But yeah, right back at it this week in golf. If there's one thing that really stands out to me from last week, two things. It's Fleetwood will always be gutless, and they should stop playing elevated events the week after majors.
Yes, dude. Everybody withdrawing. You cannot tell. They're all acting oh, we're sick and this and that, dude.
We were talking about it before, and I know we mentioned this on the show that Corey Connors was hurt. So you might see some withdrawals just because, people are tired after a long week in Oakmont. That's much more grueling than pretty much any other week in golf. So I was kind of surprised there weren't more withdrawals before the tournament because, it's not like these guys really need the money and they're kind of douchebags. Harry Hall might need cowards,
dude. They're all cowards.
Yeah. Harry Hall might need the money, but at least he's
Harry Hall, that was great. That quote was amazing.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys saw that, and he ends up shooting a super low round Sunday too. He's any other job that you can make $250K in a day just for showing up, you just show up, which is why he didn't withdraw.
Yeah, he was talking about how he was vomiting, and he's like, I don't care.
So I appreciate that. If he was there at the end, he would have finished it instead of Fleetwood. Yeah. It's my takeaway from that.
Harry Hall last week earned my respect heavily with that comment where he said that he would just fuck it. If I can make $250,000, I'm not withdrawing from the tournament. I wear this fucking caddy hat out on the course that shows where I came from. But this week, Detroit Golf Club, who me and Bryce had the pleasure of attending all 4 rounds last year, along with him getting to play the course afterward. Well, I could have played the course, but I was up until 6 a.m. the night before and did not do that. You played it. How do you like the course compared to a lot of the courses you've played around the States?
It's kind of just it. I don't want to sound basic for saying this. It's kind of like most other courses in the Midwest, thick rough, that's not that hard for professionals to hit out of, but for amateurs like myself, it's extremely hard to hit out of. So it's very punitive for us and not very punitive for them. I thought by far the hardest part were the green complexes. My country club and, most country clubs don't have, green complexes that are that hard, but for pros, that's once again, not that big of a detriment. So, it wasn't the absolute longest course, but you're penalized for misses more than you would be on your average one. But these guys don't miss a lot. So, it turns out to not be that hard for professionals and a very hard course for someone like me. Yeah. So, it was a fun round though. I thoroughly enjoyed my time up there. I would definitely go back. You know, it was a super cool experience getting to play it like in tournament conditions, like directly after the tournament.
It was a cool thing that DK offered. Everybody getting to go out there with the grandstands there, like the whole bit, like exactly how they played it the round before, like that. It
makes the course look much smaller than it is. Like when you have the grandstands there, because like when you're just playing around at golf, like it's so open. Like, I don't know. It makes it look a little smaller than it is. It's like, oh, this isn't quite as intimidating. Like just because, well, there's no fans in the grandstand, so it's like, oh, you know, if you miss, you'll just like get a bounce off the off the grandstands or something. But it makes it. But then when you get up there, you're like, oh, you're kind of screwed in this spot or whatever. You know, I put myself in a lot of positions where like you just couldn't really go after the hole.
Well, I mean, you couldn't have been as bad as Sully and my boy Kenny.
Well, Mark's friend Kenny is one of the funniest golfers of all time. Sully has a little bit of game. He just doesn't play.
Sully played college baseball, so he's got the swing, but it's like he's got all the baseball problems.
And you can tell it's like, you know, when you play with someone that like played baseball, like I played baseball like my whole life, so like I kind of have the baseball swing a bit, or like people that played hockey. You know, you can definitely see like the slap shot type of like just like super. It looks like Daniel Berger hitting the ball. It's like that type of action. So, you know, you could definitely see his athleticism trying to peek through, but it being held back by just years of not playing.
Yeah, I remember vividly watching Sully like snap hook like 5 balls in a row at Sawgrass, and then we're with Reese, and he's playing, and Sully's playing with Reese against me and Kirk. You know my boy Kirk. And
is Kirk a good golfer?
He was not, but then he lives on the course now.
Yeah, I mean he's like athletic enough to be a good golfer.
Yeah. So like he played nonstop for like 2 years, and now he shoots like 75. Yeah. But no, Sully, like, and then like it's like we get to a par 5, and he's like 280 in from the fucking fairway, and he knocks it to like 8 feet, and you're like, oh, you've got the skills, you just haven't played enough.
Yeah, you just don't have the repeatable skills, which is what golf is all about.
Right. All right, well, we'll get to this tournament where it's, a bunch of the shittiest golfers on the PGA Tour. But the course is beautiful. We were there last year. I believe Cameron Davis won, our friend of the program. Cameron Davis came from behind to win that tournament. We were in the box on 17. Where the famous picture of me and Luke Clanton was taken, which I wish I could pull up right now, but yes, that was here in Detroit, and he is playing this year. In addition, so maybe
I feel you have to go over on Luke Clanton.
I know. I feel like I need to bet on Luke Clanton.
Well, it's like
I got to put at least a G on him. 40 to 1 a G like that. Okay,
like I feel everything you want to do here, you should probably do the opposite, just because it's just kind of one of those. It's kind of one of those weeks.
I remember vividly one time, because it's like the only good players that are playing this are playing because of their sponsors, right? So it's like Rocket Mortgage, obviously Ricky Fowler's like their guy, so he's playing. But like I know that like this is probably 6 or 7 years ago, when the tournament was like first starting. Dustin Johnson was playing, and it was one of his sponsors, and he was like a plus 400 to win the tournament. This is like at his peak, and he like fucking shot like shit, like absolute shit. And then he like withdrew during the second round, like didn't give a fuck. So it's like a lot of these guys are here specifically because of their sponsors, not because they actually want to be playing the course. So I mean, I don't think it's anything you can actually like actively like try to figure out, especially with the Ryder Cup coming up and a lot of these guys wanting to make it. But, definitely a thing that half the people that, for instance, Colin Morikawa was getting interviewed this week, and he was like, I'm with my Pro-Am teammates or my Pro-Am partners. Like, I can't talk to you right now. Like, that's more important than the actual tournament itself to him. So,
Colin Morikawa is also like, he has a stick up his ass right now and like has a huge war against the media.
And his caddy.
I don't really get it. It's probably because he sucks.
And his caddy.
It's probably because he sucks.
He has not been good.
Yeah, and so the media rip it. Oh God, I won 2 majors. Now the media is ripping on me. Yeah, you suck. Play better. And then
All
they
right.
won't.
So how much more Kyle are you playing this week? Let's start with him.
Probably
Should we hit on the weather first for a little bit?
What's up?
Slightly.
Let's discuss this weather.
I think there might be a slight advantage to the PM AM wave. Looking at the weather, there is a chance of storms from like 2 to 3 p.m. There's a really small window, scattered storms Thursday, which I don't think will do anything, but maybe sideline them for a short period of time, maybe an hour or two. But if they do that, I think that'll just soften up the greens even more for them. And then I'm seeing a pretty good wind advantage Thursday p.m. into Friday. Friday at about 11 a.m., the winds start picking up about 15 miles an hour sustained with gusts over 20 compared to 7 miles an hour sustained, 10-mile-an-hour gusts that they'll play the majority of Thursday p.m. and Friday morning. So I think there could be a slight, potentially half a stroke advantage for the PM AM side. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on that or not.
I totally agree with you, but is there not any chance that it's going to rain also on Friday?
I'm not seeing anything on Friday.
Okay. So the only issue would be obviously if the rain actually causes a delay, which would flip it.
Yeah.
But if you don't think that it's going to cause a delay, then yes, it's a heavy advantage to Thursday p.m., Friday a.m. Bryce?
Yeah, I mean, I saw the same thing. This is why I wait until tonight to kind of build my lineups. Just so you have the most up-to-date information. Have you seen anything in the betting markets that would indicate other people are playing that angle, or because there is a decent amount of good golfers going off in the morning, but it's not like it's not like you have a Scotty Scheffler in this field going off in the bad wave.
I think the ease of the course kind of plays into it too, because it's like, yeah, even if it's fucked up, you're not really going to get fucked that hard by it. Like, it's obviously going to limit upside, but you're not going to see guys shooting terrible scores even in the bad wave. But like considering Cam Young, not Cam Young.
Morikawa, Cantlay, and Keegan are like
Wyndham Clark is somebody who has gotten steamed a lot, and he is in the bad wave. Morikawa, Cantlay, Joe Highsmith's been getting money. Akshay Bhatia, Fitzpatrick, they've all Byung-Hun On. They're all in the quote unquote the bad wave, and they've been getting money. So I don't think people are paying like too much attention to it. But I do think it's something that if you're playing one lineup, absolutely just stack the PM. Like I have nothing like. What's the downside? Oh God, you miss out on a couple guys, but like
you're missing out on Colin Morikawa. You're not missing out on Scotty Scheffler. It's not the end of the world.
If you're not playing 150, 300 teams, like I definitely think that you should just stack Thursday PM, like for sure. So if you got one team, just fade all those guys in the Thursday AM, and even if it's wrong, even if the weather report is wrong, you're not like really hurt that much. So even though my favorite play is Wyndham Clark. so moving into we'll start with the top. Let's go down to Ben Griffin. I think that's a more accurate group. Colin Morikawa 10,900 down to Ben Griffin 9,800. Bryce, what do you think about these four? Who's your favorite? Who do you hate? Go from there.
I just kind of like who's going to be the lowest owned out of the bunch. I'm kind of thinking who will get squeezed more in high stakes, just because, I've seen ownerships that are pretty even across the board here. If you want to play the weather, obviously your answer is Ben Griffin here with a later tee time. So, if people play the weather, he might get steamed a bit. I don't think Ben Griffin's a bad play here. If I was I'm not playing a single team this week. If I was making one team, I would probably start with him over the rest of this top range, and just kind of, because I don't really like scrubs this week. Is is kind of a common thing you'll hear from me. Like, we're not trying to jam in Scotty. We're not trying to jam in Rory or Bryson or like any of these other elite golfers that like you really want to play. So
I'm not playing Nick Dunlap, Bob.
No Nick Dunlap.
Nick Dunlap.
Remember, Nick Dunlap was like a super hot thing here last year, right? Yes. I think he was like good then. He was like good at golf then, and now he's like mid-price, which shows you how fickle golf can be. Like he's just totally lost it. We don't need to talk about him. I would rank them Griffin, Morikawa, Cantlay, then Keegan in that order. I kind of want to be above 20% on all four of them. I'm not really normally I love to take stands up here. I'm not taking a stand. If I am leveraged over on one of them, it would probably be Ben Griffin for me.
Snyder?
Yeah, I think with the way Ben Griffin's playing right now, I mean, 5 straight events, top 15 or better. He's hitting greens regulation at the highest clip between all 4 of these guys, just over 70% in the last 36 rounds. He's just doing everything, tee to green, so well. So I think Ben Griffin is definitely the guy that I would be most willing to play in this. I think Cantlay is like a cash safer guy. A lot of people are kind of gravitating towards him. He finished T2 here a couple years back when he played in 22 here. So I think he's a safer option. I think Keegan's going to come in the lowest owned off that win last week. It'll be interesting to see how he kind of comes off of that, off the U.S. Open, off the win. And he was a T7 at the Memorial too. So 2 tough events right in a row. Right back with a win. I think he's going to be the lowest owned, but rightfully so, because I think he may be drained here a little bit. I could see him even potentially missing the cut here, especially if he gets the bad weather wave. And then Morikawa, he's with I think with his college teammates on the bag this week because
on Corn Ferry. Yeah, he didn't get into the Corn Ferry event this week, so he's going up to probably make more money doing that.
Oh yeah. I mean, if Colin can put 4 rounds together, he's a good play. I don't think he'll be too terribly highly owned. 10-9's a decent price tag. We're used to paying like $12K for the top player. I like Morikawa more for like a first round leader or first round top 20. He's usually comes out strong the first round and then kind of dies off. I'm not really confident in any of these guys besides Ben Griffin. I think Ben Griffin will be there once again in that top 10 come Sunday. So Ben Griffin would be 1 for me with Cantlay 2.
Totally agree. Ben Griffin's in my core. He's Ben Griffin's the best play. He's been so consistent like this year. He's on another level. He seems to have ascended at a certain point. He's like 7th or 8th in the Ryder Cup right now. I think he definitely ends up on the Ryder Cup team deservedly. One thing I'll say about Keegan, you mentioned he might miss the cut. Like, he's trying to play himself in. So, like, he's going to try as hard as fuck. Like, he's not just going to, like, punt the tournament if he gets close. Like, he's going to try and make the cut and he'll grind to try and get there. So, that is one thing about Keegan. But the best play up here is for sure Ben Griffin by a lot. Like, I don't think it's even close. And then after that, Morikawa and Cantlay are very similar to me. Keegan's at the bottom, as we talked about, just because I think he's a little overpriced based on last week. But yeah, Ben Griffin's the guy, 9,800. If you're playing single entry, he's the expensive person you want. We'll move into the next range. Let's see, 9,500 Harry Hall. We'll go from Harry Hall down to I want to do that range by itself. We'll go down to Clanton, 9K. 9,500 down to 9K. Harry Hall, Cam Young, Siwoo, Grazerman, and Clanton. Mitch. I think we all agree that Cam Young's the best play here. Who do you think is kind of unplayable and beyond him?
Yeah, for sure. Right there with you, Cam Young. He's got 2 really good finishes here, a T6 and a T2, coming off of a bad showing last week. Good flat leg spot for him. But I like Harry Hall again. I was kind of happy to see his price tag up there so high. I think that'll lower his ownership some. I've just been playing him over the past couple of months. He's been really strong. I think T26 or better, or T25 or better in his last 5 events. The dude's got a heart. We saw the heart last week. He's going to hit a lot of fairways and greens. Super hot with the putter. He's going to make a ton of putts, which you need this week in a birdie fest like this. So I like Harry Hall quite a bit at 9,500. It won't be too hard to get overweight on him, I think. I imagine he comes in somewhere maybe around like 15% or something like that. So
They'll all be way under that.
yeah, I think he'll somewhere around there. Hopefully a little lower, but Cameron Young will definitely be the guy that'll be probably 20% plus here. Great play. Siwoo is always a good play in tournaments. Withdrew last week, hurtful. I like some Max Gracerman. I've been playing him quite a bit. Always a guy that seems to be close to that top 20 range. T23, T25, T22, 3 of his last 4. Last week wasn't the best for him over the weekend. And then Clanton, who was T10 here last year, showed a little bit last week. He can bomb it off the tee. He's going to hit a ton of greens regulation. Just comes down to the short game with him. I mean, the short game's definitely been a little up and down for him. So if he can get the short game going, he's a good tournament play. But Cameron Young and Harry Hall are my top 2 guys in this range.
Bryce?
It's kind of Cam Young and then everyone else for me. I think, as you said, we kind of all agree on Cameron Young being the best play in this range. Kind of a weak 9K range, for what you'd normally see here. But, if you told me any of these guys won the tournament, I would not be surprised. I kind of want to be over on someone like Clanton, who's going to come in at 5% ownership here. He's 30-1 to win or 32-1 here on Penny to win the tournament. That's someone I want to be playing double the field, 10% on. It's kind of where I'd feel comfortable with him. Have about the same feeling for Grazerman. I think Siwoo and Harry Hall have a little bit more upside. Probably play them in the 10 to 15% range here. And then Hideki Matsuyama is there as well, who's not really didn't play in good golf, but definitely has the talent to be able to kind of turn it on. I've seen 11% on Clanton. It's kind of tough to see where some of these guys will come in because the game theory players will probably try and steam them a bit just because they don't grade out. It's great plays here. Your team really, if I was making a main team, it would be Griffin, or Wyndham Clark, maybe Cameron Young, and then skip the rest of the range would be where the chalk will be. So I don't mind getting off in this range. It's not like you're sacrificing tons. I do like Cameron Young the best, and the rest of these guys are probably all going to be about 10 to 15% plays for me.
Yeah, I vividly remember Cameron Young chucking a club after he blew the tournament on 17 last year while we were chanting his name, trying to get him to talk to us, and he would not. But no, he's definitely the best play in this range, 9,300. He should be up there near where Ben Griffin's price is. But after him, I think that we're kind of underselling Matsuyama here. Matsuyama is the best player in the field, golfer, significantly better than everybody else, and he's just priced down because he's been playing so bad, and the course doesn't really fit him. But at the end of the day, he's better than everybody else. So I don't want anybody to lose sight of Matsuyama being 9,600 in this shitty ass field. You definitely should be including Matsuyama in your pool. Don't fade him. That's dumb. After him, Young and the Matsuyama for me. Next would be Siwoo. Obviously, we have issues with Siwoo after last week. We don't know, but he's typically a guy that is extremely boom or bust regardless. So I don't think that bothers anybody too much. If you're taking Siwoo Kim, you already know what you're getting into. After him, Clanton's next for me. He played really, really well in this course last year. He came and drank some high noons with the boys. He didn't actually drink them because he was 19. But so Clanton is next, and then I would put Grazerman and Harry Hall at the bottom. I don't like them nearly as much as the others. We'll go into the next range. We'll start with Keith Mitchell at 8,800 down to. We'll stop at Ryan Gerard, 7,900. Mitch, who do you like in this range? I want to include Gerard because I think that he's one of the better plays in this in this situation. He typically is your guy. So do you like him? Do you like the rest of them?
With Gerard, it just comes down to the putter with him. I mean, he's just been absolutely horrible with the putter for like the last couple of months. I think it's 6 straight events he's lost with the putter, and he lost over 8 strokes putting last week at the Travelers. I mean, it's just abysmal with him. He hasn't lost less than 2 strokes in the last 4 events, and 2 of those have been at least 6 strokes lost putting. So, I mean, he's a great ball striker. It just comes down, if he can putt to a 0, he'll definitely be really good for that price range. I think he's definitely a guy you need to have in your pool, especially if you're MMEing. Definitely good for that. My favorite play in this range is probably similar to you guys odds wise. I mean, Davis Thompson's just grading out really well. Played well last week, T25, and then owns a T2 and a T24 here at this event in the last 2 years. So I think he's a really strong option. Up top of this range, I'm looking to sell Keith Mitchell and Ricky Fowler. I don't really like them this week. I think they have pretty bad odds too for their price. But then you look at your guy, Wyndham Clark, Bryce's guy, Lord was saying to play him last week. Last week was the first time in over 2 months where Wyndham actually gained strokes approach. I mean, he gained 1.3 strokes approach. The putter kind of let him down last week, but he still kind of found something there, got back in the top 20, kind of got something going. I think that he's got a really good momentum going into this event where he can kind of overpower this course. He's usually a super good putter. He can get lights out here. Could be a really good building block for him this week. So I like him at 8,600. Does go out in the morning, but that's fine. He's one of those golfers, caliber-wise, I don't think that one day of weather will really affect his total outcome. So I'm fine with him there. Fitzpatrick just looks like a pretty good, safer top 20 type play here. Good price tag for him, a guy you should have in the pool. Rasmus Højgaard is generally a round 1 guy for me. Usually comes out really hot in round 1 and then kind of peters out. So I'd be looking to target him more in the first round leader or first round top 20 markets there. Akshay is always a good tournament play. It was T2 here last year. The form isn't the best coming in, but he was top 20 at the Memorial before.
He choked the tournament away last year. He had a massive lead.
Yeah, it was rough there. Him and Thompson both finished T2 here last year. That was a pretty crazy finish. And then Alex Smalley doesn't have the best course history here. Missed the cut 2 of the last 3 trips. But aside from the putting, he's been good ball striking. T13 at the Canadian Open in his last finish. He was T5 at Myrtle Beach, T30 at the PGA Championship. If he can find a putter, I think he's a solid option here at 8K. Chris Gotterup, I've been playing a ton of him over the last couple of weeks or couple of months. I mean, he did miss the cut at the Canadian Open, but he's been good at the U.S. Open. He's been good before that. Had a bunch of top 20s. I think Chris Gotterup is a great play here. Can bomb it off the tee. It just comes down to the putter with him, like usual with some of these guys. But he's got such good upside that the putter, if it clicks here, it'll be good. So I like Gotterup quite a bit. Theoborn Olsen's a guy that's been trending pretty well as well. He's going to hit a ton of greens. I think he's fine having the pool. But my favorite play, obviously, is going to be Davis Thompson in this range. And then my second favorite play is probably going to be either Chris Gotterup or Wyndham Clark, I think.
I'll jump in here. I totally agree. Davis Thompson's the best play in this range. Got him a ton. I had him a bit last week. He was very, very popular in the higher stakes contest. He was nearly 20% owned in the $3,000 contest that I came in second in. And he played pretty well. Like he played pretty good. It wasn't like elite, but definitely among that field, he showed that he belongs. But after him, I mean, I'm heavy on Wyndham Clark. Wyndham Clark, it's a situation like Matsuyama where you're paying not that steep price for a guy that's won majors versus, your Rasmus Højgaards and your fucking Gotterups and whoever else. Like playing Wyndham makes a ton of sense here, even in the bad wave. So I'm definitely going to have a ton of Wyndham Clark. Guys, you spoke on Mitchell and Fowler. Definitely am going to be shorting that. But I don't think they're going to get a lot of ownership So I don't know how easy it's going to be to fade that. Minwoo Lee, I think it's a lot. He played really well last year here. So I'm probably going to be under on him, but it's not going to be intentional. It's just a matter of circumstance with him being between Wyndham and Matthew Fitzpatrick at 8,400. I much prefer Matthew Fitzpatrick to Minwoo Lee. So I'm going to have quite a bit of Fitzpatrick. Really do not like Rasmus Højgaard here. Going to be my least owned guy between 84 and 79. Batia obviously can nuke the course considering he took the tournament away last year. And then I'm not going to have a ton of Goddard up, but then at the base, Ryan Gerard is in my optimal. And I don't necessarily like that, but it just kind of fits. It's 5 guys and then a 7,900. So Gerard is in my optimal. I do like him a fair bit. Alex Smalley is in my second optimal, so I like Alex Smalley too. So those 2 guys at 8K and 7,900, I'm definitely going to be on them a bunch. Bryce, how do you feel about it?
I think this is a pretty important range to talk about just because, it's my favorite range of the week, and I don't think that's like a super contrarian take or anything. You have some of the absolute best plays here. I would rate Wyndham a little ahead of Davis Thompson here, but I think that's just because I'm seeing Davis Thompson around being the chalkiest player in this field. I think he's definitely an optimal type of play, just not. I don't know. It's hard for me to get to him at 30%, but he's gonna end up being there, especially in high stakes. I think in low stakes, I'll probably be right around there. Probably high 20s. Is kind of where I pictured my build ending up on him.
I don't want Davis Thompson to beat me.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty fair way to attack it. I think the guys who aren't going to carry a lot of ownership here: Keith Mitchell, Ricky Fowler, Minwoo Lee, Højgaard.
You think Keith Mitchell's going to carry ownership?
No, I said that won't carry ownership here. So the guys that because this range is going to be super popular. So the guys I don't think will be popular, if you're looking for leverage, would be Mitchell, Fowler, Minwoo, Rasmus.
Fowler's another guy that is here primarily for his
Smalley and Olsen. Yeah, I mean they're meeting sponsor requirements. But if they go out and shoot they're good tournament plays. If they go out and shoot a good round, they're still going to try.
And he's won this before. Fowler's won this before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't mind being over on some of those weird plays in this range. And just kind of I kind of want to hit this kind of hard across the board and just kind of play more mid-tier builds this week as opposed to the star scrubs I've been playing for, weeks on end now. I just kind of think that people have it in their heads these expensive plays like Scotty, et cetera, are going to get there every week. They don't. And this is one of them. This is one of those tournaments where they definitely they're much more fadeable this week than they are in other weeks. And I really don't want to play the base 6K guys much, if at all. I'm going to cut my pool off much higher than I normally do this week, I think. So this will just naturally be a range that I get to a lot, and I don't mind having leverage on those guys. And then ranking my favorite plays here, I would rank it Wyndham, Davis Thompson, Akshay, Gerard, and then kind of a gap for me. And then it's kind of the mid-tier plays here, like Smalley, Fitzpatrick type of deal. And then you get into the leverage type of plays, of which I would think Minwoo would be my favorite of those.
Yeah, I think one thing I want to stress before we go to the next range is that I'm going to be a lot heavier in Matthew Fitzpatrick than you guys. Moving to the next range, we'll go from Thorbjorn at 79 down to there's a lot of these guys are so playable. We'll just go to Chris Kirk 75, just down to the the 7,500 to 7,900 range. Mitch, start with you since me and Bryce have been babbling. Who do you like in this range? I mean, I feel like I'm playing all of them.
I'm honestly not that higher on a lot of these guys. I like the guys in the lower 7Ks a little more than some of these other guys, but I think like Olsen's definitely in play there. Jard, we talked about. I think Alex Noren's a good play. I mean, he's got a couple of top tens here, 2 of his last 3 trips. I think he's a good option. Jaeger's got really good history here. The form is a little shaky, but Noren, Jaeger would be the two guys I would look to the most here. Michael Kim. It's fine. I mean, if you want a guy that's going to finish T45, play Michael Kim. I think Nikolai Hogard, he's got some upside, but he's got more downside, I think, to his game. Taylor Moore's a guy, you look at his recent form, it's not the best, but then you look at his course history. I mean, T10, 4th, and 6th here. He's got elite course history.
Michigan did go red last collection.
Yeah, for
so
sure.
Taylor Moore could be in play.
He had a good showing at the PGA Championship. He just had some really bad showings at the Schwab, missed a cut at the Canadian Open, missed a cut at the Byron Nelson, missed a cut at that team event, but he's got a couple of good events sprinkled in, but the course history is great for him. Benny On's always an upside play there. I mean, these are guys that I would have like just sprinkled into an MME, like not overweight on any of these guys, but probably field a lot of these guys. The lower range I like quite a bit more in this, but if I had to pick a top guy, it'd probably be Norn or Jaeger would be my top 2 guys at the top of this range. But I think a lot of these guys are definitely playable in MME for sure.
Bryce?
I don't like this range quite as much as the ones above them. I do see some pretty solid plays here, though. Ben Ann's my favorite at 7,600. I'm just always kind of over on Ben Ann. Have not been playing him much, but I think in this field, Tom Kim for 7.5 is kind of a steal. I just think he has the upside to go low. I would not play him in like a cash type of team. Steven Jaeger, I think, is a very solid play. I would prefer him to Michael Kim here at 7,700. I just think he carries more upside. I would say Kim would be like a safer type of play, as Snyder mentioned. And I might regret saying this, but I don't hate Matt Walls.
I forgot. I kind of like Chris Kirky. He had a good event in his last trip out at the U.S. Open. Hasn't played since, but has really good course history here. I think 4 of the last 5 he's been T21 or better. So I do have some like for Chris Kirky at 7.5.
I'm probably going to be playing all these guys in some manner in my 150. There's nobody that stands out as really like sucking ass. I think the worst play in the range would be Michael Kim. But the best play here to me is my Eskimo brother. Steven Jaeger at 7,700. My boy, who I've never met. I need to meet him eventually. After him, Tom Kim, 7,500. He's making into a lot of my better lineups. After Matt Wallace, what you spoke on, I think he's high upside. He can get birdies in a bunch on a course like this. So definitely playing a good amount of Matt Wallace. Byung Hun An, 7,600. Great play. Love that there. Beyond that, it's not like I hate your Kirk, Kitayama, Moore, Nikolai Højgaard, Thorbjorn. Like I don't hate these guys. It's just I think there are better options in this range. And so you can mix them in if you feel like it. But if you're playing 1 or 2, don't fuck with them. We'll go from 7,400 down to 7K. So Emiliano Grillo down to Matt McCarty, your boy. Bryce, how do you feel about this range from 7,400 down to 7K? Because it seems like it sucks.
Well, I think it sucks a lot less than the plays below him. To me, it kind of seems like there's a pretty big drop off this week when you get into the 6s. There are some playable guys down there. Guys I like in this range because it's a pretty – there's a lot of golfers in this range. Start with Grillo.
There are many golfers on the PGA Tour.
I mean, I'm saying the salary range is kind of well, you're used to getting what Keegan Bradley at 7,200, and now he's what 10-4. So the pricing just kind of jams in like all like the 120-1 type of players here. I think Rio's a decent play. Hisatune, I don't mind. Lee Hodges, I kind of like. Andrew Putnam, Gary Woodland, Mark Hubbard, Austin Eckroat here. Guys, I don't mind. I did prefer the previous range to this. Like to me,
Wiley
like
out here smoking crack.
range is absolutely stacked. I mean, there's a lot of golfers to choose from, Matthew. So that just has to be like the new bit. I mean, are they that much worse than like Harry Hall? Like, I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean, Harry Hall.
I'll give you that. But you are they that much worse than Hideki Matsuyama? Yeah.
I mean, the way Hideki's playing right now, I think you might be able to go out and beat his score.
I mean, I don't know about that, but I could try.
Well, I'll take Michael then. Mark's cousin's incredible at golf. I don't mind some of the upside guys here, like Potgieter. EVR, I don't hate. Ricky Castillo, I think it's playable. Patrick Rogers, Jake Knapp. I just don't think there's like that bad of a drop off here, but like once you get below this range, it just really gets kind of tiresome.
Mitch.
Yeah, I think there's some solid upside guys in this range. Just going from up at Griot, 7,400. He's been playing some great golf. 4 straight top 25s or better. I think this is another spot for him to kind of rack up a lot of birdies. No too big trouble for him here. Victor Perez has some good finishes as of late. 3 of his last 5 finishes have been top 20 or better, coming off the T19 at the U.S. Open and the T9, the Canadian Open as well. I think Perez has some upside. Cam Davis is playing horrible golf the last 4 events, but he's a 2-time winner of this event and has finished inside the top 20 in the last 4 trips he's been here. So I think he's got some upside. Our guy, Jacob Bridgman, appears to be kind of broken now. He was really good for us earlier in the year, but he looks to be a little broken now. A guy I've been playing in some of these weaker type field events as a cheapie has been Vince Whaley. I mean, he's got the T11 at the Charles Schwab, solid at Myrtle Beach. He was top 15 at the Byron Nelson, T7 at Punta Cana, owns 4 straight made cuts here with a T17 as his best finish here. I think he's fine. We've seen Jake Knapp kind of overtake some of these weaker type tracks like this. He was top 30 at the Canadian Open his last finish. Did well at the team event. I had a top 31 here last year. I think he's got some good upside for 7,300. Our guy Rico Hui was top 10 here last year. Had a top 10 at the Myrtle Beach. Was fine at the Canadian Open. I think he's got some good upside. Rio Hisatune was T6 at the Charles Schwab. Had a top 20 in another event as of late. I think he's got good upside. Patrick Rogers. Absolutely hate playing Patrick Rogers, but he'll just top 10 out of nowhere. I think he's got some upside. Davis Riley started out strong last week and then faded. Probably won't go there as much. Lee Hodges, we talked about him maybe finding some form at the Canadian Open where he had good history. Top 10 there. Maybe he found something. I always like Michael Theoborn Olsen. He's one of my favorite younger guys. Got some good upside.
Bjorn Olsen.
I don't know. Andrew Putnam, top 6 at the Canadian Open, his last event, T15 at the Byron Nelson. He's got upside in these weaker type field events. I like some Putnam at 7,100. Mark Hubbard, it's another guy I like to play in these shit can events. He was T7 at Myrtle Beach, T5 at Byron Nelson, top 30 at the Charles Schwab. I think he's fine. Cameron Champ always has a little upside. I mean, he was top 10 at the Canadian Open, top 15 at the Byron Nelson. owns a couple of top 20s here, so I think he's in play for MME. My guy Matt McCarty, you know he's either going to miss the cut or he's going to like top 10.
Who the hell is Matt McCarty?
He was T4 at the Canadian Open, a T15 at that Byron Nelson as well, but it's got 4 missed cuts sandwiched around there, so definitely the definition of a GPP play. And then the big rig, Potgeier, he was good for us. What was that, a couple months ago? We all played him, and he was
Mexico.
Mexico, yeah.
He
He cost me there. I had him. I had a win bet on him, and that was hurtful. T6 at the Schwab in his last outing. Dude just absolutely nukes it off the tee. I think he's good for upside. That's about it. I think there's a lot of these guys you can just kind of mix and match. I wouldn't go too crazy on any of these guys, but I think there's some upside down here at the bottom of this range. I'd rather play a lot of the guys at the bottom 7K, like Bryce was saying, than try and jam in some of these 6K guys that are pretty dusty.
I totally agree with that. My favorite play in this range is by far Lee Hodges, 7,200. For a guy that's been struggling but has a lot of talent, you know, going on a course like this kind of seems like, you know, he could easily nuke. There's heavy upside. So I like Lee Hodges at 7,200. After that, Emiliano Grillo, 7,400. But I think he'll be pretty chalky. After him, Jake Knapp, you spoke on. He can kind of overpower these shitty courses. So I do like him. You know, it's just a lot of these guys are very, very similar. Cam Davis, Rico Hoey, Jacob Bridgman, Ryo Hisatsune, Michael Thorbjornsen. I think they're all guys you can play right there. Like that list of guys I think is all definitely in play. I have them all in high stakes in some number. After that, it gets a little more dicey. Although down at 7K, I do love Matt McCarty, who you mentioned before, and Potgeier. I think that Matt McCarty and Potgeier are the guys to play at 7K. So if you're not going to go any lower than that, they would be the two down there. I did bet Matt McCarty to win the tournament as well. So we'll go now to the rest of it, the dregs. 69 down to nothing, or down to 6,900 down to whoever the fuck Dominic Clemens is. Snyder, are you playing anybody down here? Because it looks pretty dire.
It's pretty rough down here. Probably my favorite play would be Adam Hadwin. I did place a bet on him to top 40. I think it was like plus 220 or something like that. So I have some action on him. I'll probably play him a little bit. I think he can make the cut here. He's made, 5 of his last 6 cuts, and he owns a T2 and a T4 and 2 of his last 4 trips here. So he's made 3 of his last 4 cuts here, with 2 of them being inside the top 5. So I think Hadwin's got some good upside here. Alejandro Tosti, if you want to go there, maybe sprinkle. I mean, he had that good run at the Punta Cana back a couple months ago. If you want to sprinkle that, Hayden Springer was T10 here last year. If you want to go with that, I don't see too much here, except there is a Nebraska boy down here, previous winner of this event, about 5 or 6 years ago, Nate Lashley, Nasty Nate. He's made some cuts. I mean, he's a guy that can make cuts in these weaker type field events. Had a top 20 in that team event, had a T12 at the Texas Open, was T30 at the CJ Cup. He's a guy that can make a cut for 6,500 if you need it. And he's made 3 of his last 4 cuts here, and then had that win, I think, 5 or 6 years ago. So he's a guy you can go to. Ben Silverman's made 3 of his last cuts, and he was T20 here last year. But a lot of these guys are pretty thin down here. Justin Lower has 3 straight top 30s at this event, but the form for him is pretty terrible. But there's some guys you can click on down here if you want. I'm just overly not confident in much of these guys down here.
Right.
I didn't play anyone below 7K, so if you want the shitters, listen to these two.
Yeah, the one guy I like down here, as Snyder mentioned, is Adam Hadwin at 6,800. None of these guys snuck into my 3K teams, but I do think you can play him. Joe Highsmith, 6,800. He's been playing like shit, but he had a real hot run earlier this year, and I think he's better than a lot of the other guys in the range. Can always play Doug Gim, 6,900. When you know what you're getting into, the iron play is going to be good, but he can't putt the ball. And the cheapest person I would get down to is Luke List, 6,500. Can't putt for shit, as we talked about with Doug Gim, but he can bomb it. And so you could definitely play Luke List if you have to, but I wouldn't go any lower than that. And so then we'll get into who do you think? Give me a guy you think is going to win the tournament that's a little chalky, not really that much chalk this week at the top, but then like a long shot. Snyder, you first.
I'm going to go on that market there, the DK market, without they have that market without Morikawa, Cantley, Keegan, Ben Griffin, DKNG.co/RPS for the discount there. Cameron Young, 20-1, basically the same odds as he is on Pinnacle without those four guys. So I think that's pretty good for him. And then let me find a tournament winner kind of down the board a little bit. I would go with I'll go with Grillo at 60-1. I think Grillo's got some upside. He's been playing good too with quite a few top 20s in a row.
Right.
Guys to win the tournament. I'm trying to decide who's right on this one. I kind of want to steal Snyder's. I like the Cam Young without market, like a good amount. I think that's kind of a interesting way to play it. You know, if he chokes at the end, it might not kill you. Guys, I'm more willing to take like super long shots in this event just because I think it's such like a random thing. Ricky Castillo plus or 110-1, I don't think is a bad shout here. I had Lee Hodges 100-1. I liked Mark's take on Lee Hodges, and I liked him as well, so I don't mind that. Jake Knapp 80-1. I think Knapp has some upside here, and I just kind of like sprinkling in the long shots here. With the super long shots, I would much rather play them with just everyone included. Like I like the without Scotty markets just because Scotty's kind of a different beast when it comes to this stuff. But if you have to come out and beat Morikawa at the end of the day, who's kind of a gutless loser, I'll take my chances.
Yeah. As far as a long shot, I hate to regurgitate what Bryce said, but my guy is Lee Hodges at 100-1. And then other than that, Ben Griffin 22-1. I think at the top, that's definitely somebody I am going to be leaning into. We'll get into a pick six here if I could figure out how to fucking make the screen work. Hold on, let's see here. Going to pick six. Get off my shitty baseball teams.
Yeah, Dodgers suck.
Dodgers suck.
It's so weird when you pull up this pick six board. Like you're so used to seeing Scotty at 3.5, and now.
Yeah. See, look, it's like
yeah. Like this is what I'm saying about like kind of wanting to play the middle of the board. Like these guys are like 15.5,
right?
For like their finishing position. It's just the top range is just not what it is elsewhere.
Right. Wiley's going to come in and fix this, I hope. So I'll start with the pick six. I will go with
there you go.
Ben Griffin, better than 18.5 finishing position. Snyder.
You went Ben Griffin? I was eyeing that one. Let's go. I'll take Cameron Young, better than 22.5.
Here we go. Cameron Young, better than 22.5. Bryce.
I'm going to go with Luke Clanton to make the cut. over 36.5 holes completed. It's a 0.7, but
Right.
I think that's pretty solid at even a 0.7 to make the cut here.
I agree. And I will go with Akshay Bhatia to also make the cut. Snyder.
Yeah, I'll go with Emiliano Grillo to make the cut.
And Bryce.
We need one under here. I'm gonna take, where was it? Ricky Fowler worse than 27.5 finishing position.
All right. So there it is. Ben Griffin better than 18.5. Cam Young better than 22.5. Luke Clanton, Bhatia, and Grillo to make the cut. And Ricky Fowler worse than 27.5. Pays at least 6.8x. And possibly more. Go ahead and lock that in. Any final thoughts, guys?
You get our good friends at DraftKings to bump the payout from 6.8 to 6.9.
Yes,
on some of these. I kind of like these 0.7s.
No, the 0.7s I feel like are fire.
Yeah, just because like in betting markets, like
you're getting better than that a lot of the time.
Yeah, like what's Clanton to make the cut in a betting market?
He's got to be like minus 200.
Yeah, that's like the number I had in my mind. I don't have it pulled up here,
and
but
so he's I think the 0.7s you can get a lot of value.
Yeah.
All right, for Mitch, the Nebraska God, and Bryce, I'm JVC. Goodbye.